can't see in the camera. Okay, I'm going to start assigning videos to your series. Hi, Richard. I'm going to start assigning these videos to your series so I can keep track of them. So right now, what you're seeing is all these videos that I've been showing. This says March 11th, 2023, video number 2. Holy Island fishing one. And the reason why I wanted to make this is going to be a quick video. It's not going to be very long. I just want to listen to some things and talk about a couple of quick things that are on my mind. All right, Richard, one of the things that I've been trying to stress to you, my mind's all over the place the last couple of days. So yesterday I was listening to my videos back and I'm jumping all over the fucking place. Okay, so one of the things, Richard, that I noticed that you're having some doubt with, it's something that I'm trying to impress in you that may take a little bit of time. All right, yourself, and I'm going to use as an example, and Jeff Buys Cars. And I'm ready to play Jeff Buys Cars, a video that he's got on. I don't know how long it's been up. I don't know. I just came across it this morning. And a lot of the things he's talking about, I'll be able to explain this part of this by using his video as an example. I'm sure that you probably have videos too, but I just don't have time to go over and look at your channel. You probably have videos on these same subjects. One of the things I'm trying to get through to you is that we've always been enslaved. Just because right now everyone's opening their eyes about these 15-minute cities and about the laws and the rules that are all coming down. And what I'm trying to impress on you is that rather than fight and argue with these new rules coming down, we've got to backstep it and go to the rules that our ancestors, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, we got to go back. It's unbelievable that I get fucking interrupted all the time, man. We got to go back to those things. And one of the things that Jeff's ready to talk about, and I'll play it in a minute, is and at the same time I'm gonna run this video through. That's what I was starting to say, is that I'm gonna change these all be in your name, and I'll it's better when I remaster them if they're in your name. The series anyway, to your name. Okay, so Jeff's ready to talk about cars, of course, as usual. And what I'm going to point out to you is that we are already sold out. So when he's talking about the cars and stuff, I want you to think about it, and hopefully I'll come back at the end of this video and I'll talk some more, or I should just shut the video down now and start again later because I'm about to be interrupted. Titles. You don't own anything. We never have. So when they started giving us copies of the titles and copies of the deed to our home and copies of the titles to the things we own, everything from your Casio, the corporations and the companies own everything. From your John Deere tractor to your Casio recorder to your amplified amplifier to your whatever you own, you don't really own. They only let us hold on to it. We pay money for it. We can imagine and dream and think about the idea that we own it, and we can, but it's false. It doesn't make it true. And nobody ever protected us from that. Our founding fathers never protected us from that. The corporations are the ones that have ownership over everything that we have. We never went and straightened that out. And it's been a long, long time, and we never went and looked at it and straightened it out. So let's listen to Jeff for a few minutes.
I mean, I really thought the ULEZ expansion was bad, but this is definitely worse. That's the end of freedom of movement in this country. Finished. By December 23rd this year, you ain't even going to be able to ride a horse through London without being tracked and charged for it. Good afternoon, we are back down to the river for another important video. If you thought the expansion of the ULEZ was going to be bad for motorists, then this makes it look like a picnic. This is the London Assembly's call for evidence on the future of smart road user charging, dated February 2023, and you can submit your replies to this, but they have to be done by the 10th of March. That's weird, isn't it? Another government consultation with a tiny window upon which the public are allowed to comment. The London Assembly are basically saying, we want your ideas and your input on a new distance-based road user scheme, but they haven't actually said how the scheme will function. However, this document, the Green Light for Next Generation Road User Charging from 2019, lays it all out. And I have had my highlighter and my post-it notes out, and I'm going to explain to you what this means and how it's going to impact your car ownership. It's a very sunny day today. It's very busy down by the river. We've got the National Grid. We've got a load of kids running around. So bear with me on this one, because this is terrible. It's really terrible. It's like the worst thing I've found so far. I mean, I really thought the ULEZ expansion was bad, but this is definitely worse. So it's really important that you follow the instructions in the description to get your input, counted. Have your vote counted, basically. Register your opposition to this crap, because this is really bad news. I'm also going to take pictures of every page so you can see my notes and read it for yourself and see my highlights. And I'm going to put it on my website so you can digest it that way. So what we have is we have the London Assembly saying we want to change the way we charge people to use the roads. And they're going to base that, I think, on this Centre for London study that was done in 2019. And I found out that the Centre for London study was financed by, drumroll please, C40 Cities. So that's Sadiq Khan's organisation that is pushing towards net zero, that I've already shown is financed by a load of nefarious organisations and people. They are financing the study that I think the London Assembly want to implement in the new road user charging scheme. Convoluted, I know, but wait till you hear how this scheme's going to work. You ain't even going to be able to ride a horse through London without being tracked and charged for it. So, London has always been a leader in transport innovation, but with a fast-growing population and economy, the capital now faces a number of road-related transport challenges. So this is the proposal, this is the research that was done by Centre for London. What they're going to do is they're going to lay out their reasoning for introducing a new system. Then they're going to tell us what the new system's going to do. Then they're going to tell us how it's going to work. And then at the end, they're going to sell us the benefits. So why do we need to change the way roads are charged for in London? Congestion's been growing due to the reallocation of road space and population growth and the recent reversal of the longer-term decline in overall vehicle usage. So I have written there, why? Why has overall vehicle usage, why has the decline of overall vehicle usage reversed? Maybe get better public transport and then people will start to use their cars less. Also, congestion has been growing due to the reallocation of road space. What are they reallocating roads for? Roads are for driving on. They're not for putting planters on. They're not for putting benches on. Stop it, all of you, with your low traffic neighbourhoods. They don't work. They're a nightmare. We want roads for cars and for driving on, not for little outdoor seating areas on the middle of a highway. So yeah, they're taking our roads away from us, and then they're wondering why it's getting more congested. Traffic-related air pollution has remained consistently above legal limits, harming the health and well-being of all Londoners, particularly children. And I've written next to that, proof. Because as we well know from Sadiq Khan's recent actions, he just makes the numbers up as he goes along. If he wants to think that 40,000 people have died from air pollution, then that's what he says. But there's no evidence to back it up. Freedom of information request. You asked how many deaths are recorded in London as a direct result of car emissions. We said, thank you for your inquiry. One. There's one. Between 2001 and 2021, so 20 years, there is...
So as we're listening to him, keep in mind what I'm talking about. Go look at your titles. Go look at the titles that you have for your vehicles. Mopeds, motorcycles, cars, trucks, vans, campers. I don't care what it is. They all say copy of title at the top of the page. And over the years, again, our families lied to us. I'm not being angry about it. I'm just pointing it out. So we were all lied to. And in my case, my parents told me that if I paid for this item, whatever it might be, and I'd get the title, after it was paid off. If I took a loan out for it, it would come in the mail after it was paid off, and I'd be the title holder. And that's all you are, is a title holder. It doesn't mean the title's in your name. It doesn't mean you even have ownership of it. And people have such a hard time with that. Everything is on borrow. Everything is on lending. Nothing is really ours as far as ownership goes. The corporations, the governments run the corporations run the governments, and all the 7.8 billion zombie slaves own absolutely nothing. Even in land and homes, you think that the deed, it'll say copy of deed on the top. All you have the rights to is to pay for everything with your energy. You don't have the rights for ownership. And it's been that way for a long fucking time. And nobody will wake up to it. So here we are again. We're gonna argue some really good arguments. I like Jeff buys cars just as much as I like you, Richard. But he's missing it too. He's missing it. Everyone's arguing and fighting over the things that are happening now, forgetting that we've already been slaves for a long, long time. So the slaves should not be arguing about the new things that are coming in to enslave us, because they won't be there if we go back and take care of the old things. There's so many of them. There's so many roads to go down. I, I've got some advice and opinion on it all, but I just want to point this out as we're going along. When I heard him talking, it's upsetting to see that 7.8 billion zombies think that, you know, convince themselves somehow, no, we're not slaves, but yet everything we do says that we are. You know, it's just fucking weird.
There is one death registered in London. Car dependency has led to a decline in physical activity and social connectivity. And next to that, I've quite simply written balls. You can't blame the car for the fact that people don't want to do physical exercise, and you can't blame the car for a decline in social connectivity. You can blame social media for that. People would rather talk to each other through their phones than go and talk to people. As technology has progressed and we've become more connected as a species, we've become less connected as a species. So that's balls. You can't blame the car for that. The dominance...
Since we're talking about cars too, even the transfer after death, you have a 60-something%, I believe it all adds up to, on a death tax. So if you have a family member, let's say, who leaves you a house and 3 cars, right? Hold on.
So they're saying the congestion charge doesn't work. So why are we looking at expanding it? Then we go over the page where it says both the congestion charge and ULEZ can be seen as unfair to people on low incomes. I've just touched on that. And then finally, they're saying that the growing number of road user charging regimes are making things confusing, creating an increasingly complicated system for the capital's drivers to navigate. So again, they're setting up a problem that they are then going to offer the solution to. The systems that people use to pay for the roads in London are too confusing, so we're going to give you this one nice and simple system for your benefit, for the greater good. It absolutely isn't. What they're saying is that new technologies and changing public attitudes are presenting an opportunity to replace the current patchwork of road user charging schemes with a more sophisticated system that captures the true cost of journeys. So then they are going to give us some design principles that form the basis of a scheme, which the report calls City Move. Capital letters, City Move. Remember this is what the new scheme is going to be called. They are proposing a distance-based scheme, charged by the mile, basically, with charges set in advance and varying according to vehicle.
So you can see what I'm saying if you step back a little bit. If our great-grandparents and our grandparents back in the 1920s would have said, wait a minute, so you want to create a private corporation who's going to take 3 months of my pay out of my check every year, so 3 out of 12 months, 1/3 of my paycheck, and you're going to take it away from me? And what are you going to do with it? You're going to run mineral streets all above my fucking head? You're going to take away my rights as a human being? You're going to run fake ass space launches. You're going to cause, create, and follow through on useless, senseless murdering and killing in these wars. You're going to start internal wars with it, with your secret intelligence, and that's a key word right there, intelligence agencies. And you're going to use all this intelligence against me. Our great grandparents and our grandparents should have stood up to that and said, no, you're out of your fucking minds. We're not zombie slaves. We're not going along with the nonsense. But they never did. They used fear factors. They used all different kinds of things against them to make them think that they had no say in it, that they're just zombie slaves, and they went along with it. And it's the same thing that what Jeff Buys Cars is talking about right now, as far as I'm concerned, because they did the same thing with the titles, the licenses, the insurance, with all the motor vehicles. They did the same thing, and you guys don't even think about it. They just did this to us. They have a false flag event. 3 buildings come down under suspicious circumstances. These 3 buildings all fall at nearly free fall speed, which goes against all your physics and science. None of the story makes sense, but you're not allowed to question it. And within moments after, actually within 3 to 4 years before it even happened, rules and regulations and laws were being implemented to enslave the zombie slaves even more. And then after their hoax event, they were able to push through even more. And nobody stood up to it. Nobody said, okay, they again, we got their intelligence agencies running thousands of YouTube channels on that one subject, because there's thousands for each subject. So that one subject alone is going to eat up a lot of agents in order to push through this narrative. And it's a false narrative, but if everybody goes along with it, then false narratives are just fine. Everybody goes along with it. And then same thing with the licenses, the driver's licenses, and things of that nature that Jeff here is talking about, and insurance and automobile ownership. There is no ownership of anything, We're not allowed to. We're not supposed to own anything, even freedom. We're not even allowed to own our own freedom. Somebody else owns us. We're zombie slaves. You gotta wake the fuck up.
Vehicle characteristics and recently observed local congestion and pollution levels at any given time. So the type of car that you drive and where you're driving is going to dictate how much it costs. So you might be able to drive your old 2.5 litre diesel Volvo through a highly populated area, but you'll pay more for it. A single City Move London transport platform that allows users to compare, plan and pay for journeys across a wide range of modes, proactively suggests alternatives and offers additional services. So they're saying that this new City Move platform will allow you to compare, plan and pay for journeys across a range of modes. So in point 2, we're no longer just talking about cars. And this is interesting because this continues throughout. Point 3, an account, presumably a City Move account on your phone, will be linked to the individual, not the vehicle, enabling a...
That's right. And they warmed us up with this idea for a long, long time. And everybody debates back and forth on it. But again, on something else that we've already given up. We've given up this right a long time ago. Now, skin color is going to make an big impact on how you see these laws, because they have what's called stop and frisk. So they have this stop and frisk rule that most states have in the United States. United Kingdom has these same laws and rules in place. They do it by neighborhood, and people get upset, so the laws have to be widespread in order for people not to be upset that you're discriminating and only doing it in some neighborhoods. So the law has to go right across the board. But again, as I talked the other day about the spitting on the sidewalk thing, if the laws are there, it does not mean they have to be enforced. So they're not walking around downtown Hartford in front of the banks looking for bad guys and stopping and frisking all the bankers as they're coming and going. You got any coke on you? You got any pot on you? You got any? What do you got on you? You know, what, I just wanted to check you're carrying a gun. You got a license for that? They're not doing it there, right? They're going to do it in other neighborhoods, neighborhoods that they consider rough and tough. It's always been that way. I remember when I was a kid, to go buy marijuana. If you were hanging around with the rich kids could get big bags of really good green bud. No problem. No cops anywhere. Nobody to fucking question it because the neighborhood you're in, nobody would even suspect it. You can hand over the shit right in front of all your neighbors. Nobody even questions it, says nothing. No one's calling the cops on you, nothing, right? Then you change neighborhoods. Next day, no one's around, whatever. Next week, no one's around. And you go downtown. Now I'm going downtown. I'm dealing with either black or Hispanic salesmen, and they're only selling $10, $20 bags, tiny little bags. It's shit weed. The weed's garbage. And they're the ones that are getting busted. On the way down there, there's four fucking cops on one corner. There's two undercovers over here. All the attention goes downtown to the tiny little $10, $20 bags. Then they change the laws on purposely. Nobody stands up to it. Nobody says, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. So they change it to where each 10 bag counts as a larger offense. So in other words, the guy that's uptown who's selling you an ounce of weed compared to the guy that's downtown selling the shit weed for $10 a bag, the $10 bag guy is going to get a longer sentence. He's going to get in more trouble because he's dealing. He's not just getting somebody a bag. He's dealing because he's got lots of bags on him. So it went by they did this everywhere. They did the marijuana thing with the school zones. They introduced that where if you got caught in a school zone, well, within so many 100 feet of a school zone, well, then all of a sudden they changed every daycare center in the country, turned into a school zone. So now, no matter where the fuck you were, if you got caught with weed on you, then they changed the law about the joints. If you had a joint on you, because kids were bringing joints in the concerts. So again, the rich people could fucking have cocaine on them. They could be dealing whatever. They could be dealing heroin and nobody says a fucking word, right? But then anybody who's down the hill gets caught with anything. If their friend gets caught with it and they're in the fucking vehicle, then everybody in the car goes down for it. The rules and the laws are set up to hurt everybody. They're not to help us. We should have stopped it.
Fairer approach to charging, including targeted discounts and options to split the charge between passengers. You will have your own City Move account where you'll be able to pay for your own movements around the city. I think you can see where this is going. Charging levels will be set against specified objectives, and you can see I've highlighted that with a question mark. Because
And just about these cameras that are the home cameras, same thing that I'm talking about with these titles on your vehicles. With the warranties, when you buy something from the store, it has a warranty. The warranty alone, read it. It proves that you don't own what it is you have in your hand. If you bring home a vacuum cleaner and it breaks down, you can send it back under the warranty. If you buy an extended warranty, same thing, but read the fine print. The fine print is very clear that you don't really own that vacuum cleaner. It's everything. It's everything that we think we own. We really don't. Even that's one of the reasons why they outlaw customization. You can't make custom cars without eventually putting some kind of a name on it. They don't really let you do that. Trailers, they used to let you at one time register trailers. If we all get together and put our foot down and say, wait a minute, you want to start this new law where I can't just register a general trailer. It has to be either down as a utility trailer or it has to be down as a camping trailer or whatever. You know, you can't just have a. So they one law after another just to hurt us. Nobody ever steps forward. Nobody ever comes up front and says what the fuck's going on. The shit that Jeff is talking about right now is important, but there were so many other things that were put into play that are taking us off the road even more than what he's talking about. There are the laws of the license laws, making people jump through hoops. Anybody who's now homeless or does not have a proof of address in the form of major utilities. You need two or three major utilities. They're making you go get your birth certificate now. They didn't used to do that. Now every time they want an updated birth certificate, so you have to go one place, get your birth certificate, and you have to do this every 4 to 5 years. They fucked us with inspection stickers on cars, made it so hard to get inspection stickers. Expense, 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 money, 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 and get nothing for it. And we have no ownership over any of it, and we're just taking care of Chevrolet or Toyota. We're taking care of their things. They're not ours. And the same thing goes with home ownership. You're taking care of the government's property. The government owns it. If you get behind on taxes, you could have the house paid off. But if you're behind on taxes, forget it. I was starting to say earlier, and then I got cut off about the death tax. So when you add up all the death taxes, if someone's dies and you want to leave them all your shit, nowadays you're really hurting people when you leave them your things, because they got to pay such huge taxes if they want to keep it, and if they don't want to keep it because they cannot afford it, then it'll be auctioned off, and then you'll get a small portion of it, you know. So it's, what the fuck is everyone working for? Busting their balls to have no ownership of anything. It's been like this for a long, long time. Jeff is a little bit late to the game, but I guess I am too, so.
Because you can say the objectives are specified, but where are they specified and will they change? Because I suspect they will. With the revenue spent on London's roads, public transport and associated environmental and public realm measures. So they're saying the charging levels for this new scheme will be set by specified objectives. And if, for example, the specified objective was to change to, I don't know, net zero by 2030, or keeping people within a 15-minute city, then the charges will be changed accordingly. A website and smartphone app for user registration, journey planning and payment, satellite navigation for journey verification, and roadside cameras for added enforcement. And I've highlighted that last sentence with the tag terrifying. So what they're saying, oh no, I've got 2 more points. They also say in point 6 that they would have a level of service delay repay guarantee, so you get paid back if your journey took longer than it should. And then point 7 is possibly the most scary, before I summarise all of this: a system of mobility credits to promote uptake of the app and encourage healthier and greener ways of moving around. And finally, there'll be a dedicated business account where you can book cheaper off-peak delivery slots. So what we're proposing in those 8 points...
That's what I was saying earlier. After 9/11, they did this, all the same shit to you guys in your airplanes. Nobody complained about it. It still went on. They still enslaved us. So now you got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people per month all over this earth going through a lot of shit. These are good people. They're not blowing up planes, but they put a shoe bomber story out there in the media. Next thing you know, they're fucking panting down your children and your grandparents, and strip searching little old ladies, and finger checking young girls and boys, and it's sick. It's fucking sick, and we all let it happen, or you just don't fly anymore, right? At the same time, major changes with passports. We should have never had passports in the first place. You need a passport to fucking travel, to go move around. You're supposed to have the freedom to move around. You're supposed to have the freedom to travel. That's a God-given right. It's not a government right, but hey, nobody complained. They took those rights away from us. Nobody fucking complained. Now, all of a sudden, TSA, go look at what they do now. Nobody fucking even bats an eye. It's a total strip down. It's a search. It's a waiting in line. We're going to aggravate you. We're going to make you wait. We're going to put tired pilots in charge of your plane. I mean, the whole fucking thing is fucking ridiculous. But nobody says shit, right? Everybody just nonchalantly goes along. Oh yeah, I don't like it, but I got to go visit my family in California, so
points is a scheme that charges you by the mile for the amount of distance covered that is not necessarily to do with movements in a car, which is linked to you as an individual, charged based around specific but very vague objectives, where you have to verify your journey on an app which is monitored by roadside cameras for enforcement and based on a system of mobility credits. Can you see where this is going? Do you remember the digital ID consultation that's currently ongoing? Imagine when your digital ID is linked to your City Move account. So you use your digital ID to use your central bank digital currency to buy your digital mobility credit.
But when they did it with insurance, you were okay with it. Our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents, when they started inventing what was known as automobile insurance or travel insurance, everyone went along with it and said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It was not a good idea. We have to go back in time and fix all the other shit that our parents, great grandparents, all the way. We have to go back and look and see where they started fucking it all up. Where did they give away all of our rights? At what point, since the last reset, at what point did we say, okay, yeah, we're just zombie slaves, and yeah, we admit it. We're just, besides this time right now, because that's what we're doing right now for sure. But there have been all these other times where these things just went over everybody's head. We have to stop being zombie slaves and start being real humans and stop worshiping a God that's not there and start having some appreciation for the true creator, the false creator / creator, and our own energy and having an understanding of it, because this is fucking ridiculous.
Credits to allow you to move around your city. I can't think why the conspiracy theorists are all getting their knickers in a...
That's what I was saying too. The cameras, they own the cameras. Whatever manufacturer it says on your home camera system, go read your policy, go read the fine print. You just have to read it once and then know that it's like this with everything that we think we own. We don't really own it. Google has more ownership over your internet than you do. So therefore, anything that's tied into the internet, including your camera systems, all of your computers, everything, Google has more right to it. Google is a government-run agency, okay? Corporation, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with YouTube, same thing with everything that's under Google. Then you have the camera manufacturer themselves for the cameras that are in your home for your safety. You call it safety. It's not about your safety. It's about watching and monitoring every fucking thing you do. So in other words, they have access to all the cameras. The bad guys / good guys, because, you never know how to look at them anymore, right? You don't know who's good and who's bad. We're all bad. So people buy these home security cameras, they put it on their home, but then sit back in a chair one day and have the realization that, holy fuck, it says copy of deed. It says copy of title. So I really don't own my car, do I? Chevrolet owns my car. I don't really own this home, do I? No, the state of Massachusetts first, and then the town second. And then that can be proven very easily by being behind on your taxes, on your property taxes, and they take your house away from you, throw you out in the street. Even if it's a family home that's been in your generation after generation, it's already been paid for, it doesn't matter to them, Then as you're sitting there and you're thinking and wandering on that, you have to really think about it, go back and say, okay, the first car accident, did it really require that we get this phenomenal cost on insurance rates? And then if your insurance lapses, your registration gets canceled. Therefore, you get pulled over because every cop car has a camera on it, every pole has a camera on it, and you're within minutes just from leaving your house with your own cameras, picking up your every movement. You're within minutes of being pulled over, possibly arrested for driving in an unregistered vehicle because the insurance lapsed. Therefore, your registration cancels. Now you're under arrest. If you fail to appear because you think that the courts are a joke, which they are, and you say these laws are ridiculous, they're all set up to hurt the zombie slaves, not to help us, you're right about that. But that ain't going to change anything because there's too many. There's 7.8 billion zombie slaves who all say, yes, this is acceptable. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, ma'am. We'll go along with whatever you say. And that's what we fucking do. So then you don't go appear in court. Now there's a warrant put out for your arrest for a non-appearance. You get a non-appearance warrant. Then you have to deal with that. Then the next time you're just walking down the street, well, you got your cell phone on you, right? Well, as you're listening to Jeff talk about it, your every move is tracked. You don't have to be in a vehicle. You could just be walking because you're going to have your cell phone on. You can't live without your cell phone. What the fuck are you going to do? You can't look up fucking fake-ass fucking GPS shit. It's fucking crazy, man. One thing after another, and we all let it go.
They're not over this. And you can see there, next to where it says mobility credits, I've simply written 1984. So the new, smarter and comprehensive scheme would offer substantial benefits for the city and for individual users. Brackets for nefarious regimes wanting to keep tabs and prevent the movement of the people that they're overruling. It says it replaces a multitude of charges with a single system that is easy to understand and use. And next to easy to understand and use, you can see I've written, so is a cage. It tackles both congestion and pollution at the same time. The congestion that is being caused by the fact that they're putting planters on the streets instead of letting the roads flow freely, and the pollution that they don't have the evidence to prove that it is actually increased, because all the scientists seem to say that it's decreased, apart from on the tube where it's terrible, which is where they want everybody to go. And it will integrate with additional driver services. I don't know what additional driver services they mean, but I can't imagine it's going to be good. Yeah, so they say that this new scheme is simpler, smarter, fairer, more efficient, healthier, and greener. So I have noted here that it says under fairer, it reflects the impact of individual journeys. The impact of individual journeys. Do you remember in one of my other videos when I was discussing necessary journeys? So not only now are you going to have to justify that your journey is necessary, you're going to have to understand the impact of your unnecessary journey to see Granny 4 times a week. Do you really need to see her 4 times a week? Could you only see her twice? Can you afford to see her 4 times a week with your mobility credits? Do you have enough mobility credits to go and see your Granny twice? Yeah, so the impact of the individual journeys includes the economic costs and the environmental damage. Again, sketchy science on that one. It ensures that everyone that contributes to congestion and pollution pays, rather than those within the narrow boundary of current schemes. By narrow boundary of current schemes, what they mean is not just cars. This is no longer about just cars. This is about you and your bike. This is about you and your tractor. This is about you and your electric scooter. This is about you and your horse. All of you need to now use the same app to be tracked by the same cameras, to pay the same charges as those of us who own cars. It's about movement. And at the end there it says, allows a more targeted and equitable approach to charging. And I've highlighted the word equitable, and once again I've written balls. For all Londoners and the city as a whole, the scheme would be more efficient, healthier, greener, and under that I've just written greenwashing, and then I've highlighted it as well. So, the report elaborates the features of a scheme based on design principles set out that can deliver these benefits. That doesn't make any sense, but what it means is the report calls on the Mayor of London to do these things. Now, bear in mind this report was written in 2019, but as I said, I believe that the London Assembly is going to strongly base everything they do next on this, who were financed by C40 Cities and who are now calling on the London Mayor. So C40 Cities, which is basically Sadiq Khan, has paid for this report, and this report is calling on Sadiq Khan to do something. We're going round in circles here. So they're calling on Sadiq Khan to develop a single distance-based road user charging scheme to replace all existing schemes before the end of his 2024 mayoral term. Well, it certainly looks like he's trying to do that. To prepare for implementation by developing a customer platform, upgrading the required GPS and mobile network, and conducting a pilot test. How much CO2 and harm does it cause to upgrade the mobile network to be able to do all this?
Again, ignoring so many things that have happened over the last 50 years. They've made it so fucking hard over the last 50 years to even deal with the registry of motor vehicles. They hire the worst, most arrogant people in order to run their registry of motor vehicles. We all know this. It's been this way for years. Even the registry people themselves, they know this. They know that it's kind of like dealing with the TSA. They're when they're hired, they're told you're the fucking king. You make the rules. Don't let any of these peasants fucking talk down to you. You are the boss. And they give them all this power and make them feel very powerful. And they treat us like that when we go in there. But now, ever since the you know what and the you know what and all that kind of crap over the last few years, it's gotten even worse. It's gotten even worse, if you can believe it. So what I was saying earlier about the making you jump through hoops for absolutely everything. So now you got to have all these evidences and proofs and passport licenses, and you have to have your federal license versus your local license, and where's the local license only going to let you walk down to the corner store, and the federal license lets you cross state lines. I mean, nobody paying attention. We're not in the United States during the you know what, we could not cross state lines. We were being told if you cross state lines, you could be subject to arrest and locked up and put into a concentration camp. You know, I mean, this is in America. This is the United States, and they were able to do this, and nobody said a fucking word. Nobody talked about it. They were afraid to talk about it, just like they're afraid to talk about all these things. It's not a matter of what's going to happen soon. It's a matter of that it all already happened. We have to turn this around. Can't just say, I'm talking to Jeff and Richard at this point, mostly. You can't just say in London and that you don't want these changes. We don't want pots in the road. No. That's not good enough. We don't want the pots in the road. No. We have to go back in time, tear it all down. We don't want no more fucking registry of motor vehicles being handled by a bunch of assholes. We don't need it be set up the way that it was. We want human beings back in charge of our banks. We don't want to deal with these fucking electronic robot tellers. We don't want it. No, thank you. If you're not going to give it to us, we'll find a way to get it ourselves, and we're going to push you all out. And the 7.8 billion zombies are getting together. We see you now. We see you for who you are. We got the fucking system now. We see the system for what it is, and we're not going to take this shit anymore. We're not going to stop what's to come. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to change all the fuck-ups that our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents allowed to happen. And there was a lot. So we're going to tear it all back down again, nicely, gently, cleanly, quietly. And we're not going to deal with your shit of burning it all down and blowing it all up and in your major reset and all your shit. No, we're not going along with that. You may still go ahead and hit the button, but we're going to stop it on our end. The 7.8 billion zombies can stop it anytime we want. We don't have to eat their fucking food. We can know our own reality and truth. We don't need to have their lies and their bullshit stories anymore. We don't need it. We can see it all for ourselves.
They are calling on Sadiq to introduce the user platform across London from the beginning to maximise the number of drivers benefiting from the scheme's smart features and incentives, while gradually extending the charging regime, starting with areas of high demand and poor air quality. And I've written there the tube. The tube is poor air quality, so focus on that. But they're talking about drivers benefiting from this scheme, whilst also referring to it as a regime. Where else do you hear the word regime? It's usually followed by tyranny. Number 4, they want to collaborate. They want to call on the mayor to collaborate with other cities across England to introduce elements of the scheme in the implementation of clean air zones to improve overall air quality and meet health objectives. And once again, I've written balls. They want to call on him to work with the government to replace existing vehicle and fuel taxes with a national distance-based system, while enabling towns and cities to implement complementary schemes that tackle local congestion and pollution. I'll translate that. We want to get rid of road tax, we want to get rid of fuel tax, we want to instead charge everybody by the mile and allow towns and cities to also implement, on top of that, their own bizarre charging systems based on whatever they like. The report then goes on to discuss current schemes and things that are ongoing, and you can read it all. It's in the links. It's quite a long and convoluted PDF. But the next bit I've highlighted is the section on a new user platform. So this is talking about what it's going to be. And as we know, it's going to be an app on your phone which will be connected to your digital ID. The consultation for that ends very soon, and that's going to be in place by December 2023. So this new user platform, they want you to register for a personal travel account. Personal travel account. Let those words sink in. Ah, have you registered for your personal travel account? Make sure you register for your personal travel account by the 1st of January 2024, or you won't be able to go anywhere. So it's going to link Oyster, contactless, and the driver details. So DVLA are in on this as well. They want you to explore journey options, compare the costs and benefits, time, environmental, health, money, across the full range of modes. Private car, car club, car sharing, ride hailing, bus, tube, train, bike, hire, cycling, walking. Do you see what I mean? That this is no longer just about cars. This is you having an app on your phone to allow you to go anywhere. They want you to be able to pay for your journeys across the full range of modes. So you're not just paying for your car or your tube. Through a variety of payment mechanisms, including prepay, pay-as-you-go, and monthly billing, and a chip in your arm. That's not in there. I added that bit in. They want you, the user, to be able to keep track of your journeys and payments, to analyse long-term usage, and calculate the costs and benefits of alternative ways of moving around. Let me just put that in brackets as to what this really means. We want to be able to keep track of your journeys and payments, to analyse your long-term usage, to calculate the costs and benefits that the system has of you being around, and to show you alternative ways of moving around, and also stop you from doing certain things when we don't want you to do them, like when you've been naughty on social media and said anti-government things. It's all there between the lines. City Move would facilitate road user charging by enabling the user to enter their journey details in advance, so they know where you're going before you get there. And I know that's all on your phones